we go to our final guest, who is leading the agricultural revolution, not in Ghana, surprisingly, in Nigeria, but he's doing something also in Ghana. Before we hear from him, the show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Star Assurance, your solid partner, Chelsea University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert and Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 31 years. Duroplus, how you get your water matters. Remember, where Duroplus goes, water flows. St. Thomas Eye Hospital, providing excellence in eye care. Hoptel, everything you. My Way Insurance, you dial star 165 hash on the MTN to join. And Mark Dan Aviation, your dependable private aviation request solved. Abraham Odoom, Juma Odoom, was a member of the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana, representing the Twifu Etimokwa constituency in the Central Region. He was a Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development between 2005 and 2007. He was an agricultural consultant for cocoa redevelopment at Novel Commodities SA in Geneva, Switzerland from 2014 to 2016. He was also a policy advisor on Competitive Africa Rice Initiative in Nigeria and Bill Melinda Gates Foundation from 2014 to 2016. In Parliament, he was a vice chairman for the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Select Committee from 2017 to 2021. Currently, he's a local lead consultant for the NSS Youth into Agriculture project in Kumawu. He speaks to us on Ghana's overdue agricultural transformation and the way forward. Mr. Juma Odoom, thank you very much for making the time to join us. Please, let's hear you.
Thank you, Samson. Let me also join to say Happy New Year to all Ghanaians, and especially my esteemed farmers. I mean the peasant farmers, my cocoa farmers, my rice millers, soya bean processors, and poultry farmers as well. And say that we are with them, and we know that 2023 is going to be a prosperous new year for all of them, because we are still talking. Yeah, something like you said, I think my topic for the day, as you have already said, Ghana's agricultural transformation is long overdue. Ghana have had glimpses of a transformation here and there. One of such was the Operation Feed Yourself. It was a program that came that we should have taken advantage to really transform our agriculture, but we miss it. Why we miss it, I'll be explaining later. Then there was those days that we had the Tamale or Northern Region Rice Revolution. Civil servants will be transferred to the Northern Region, and if you want to bring them back to the South, they won't come, and they will even resign, because what they were getting from the rice production was quite over and above what they were getting from their salaries. All these were opportunities that we should have taken as a country, we should have taken advantage to look at how we can make it more sustainable, but we didn't do it. Then I remember during President Kufuor's time or so, I initiated Cocoa High Tech, if you care to know. Cocoa High Tech, I initiated it with WINCO and then SIF. At that time, SIF was Amada Pa, and then the current Director General of NDPC, Dr. Mensah Brampa, and also the Deputy Chief Executive of the Tree Crop, Foster Boateng. We started with the Research Institute, CRIC, Dr. Appiah of blessed memory. When we started it, our focus was on the farmer. We wanted to make sure that cocoa farmer who used to build houses in Kumasi, Koforidua, and Swedru and other towns will rediscover himself. Because at that time that we started that project, we recall that Ghana cocoa production had come down as far as to 250,000 metric tons. In other words, virtually farmers were not getting anything from their farms. I remember as a DCE, I went to Dr. Appiah at Cocoa Research. Doctor, I've come and I believe that as a district chief executive, I have a responsibility for the socio-economic aspect of my people, and therefore I need your assistance. In my district, my people are cutting down their cocoa trees and planting. What can be done? Doctor said, DC have a solution. In the carbobs here, we have all the research work that we have done that can help cocoa to be transformed from where it is now. We started a project, and within 1 and 2 years, the results were very phenomenal. So Dr. Appiah and his team kept on coming to Twifo, Himan Lower Denchira at that time, and we had this phenomenal cocoa production. No wonder one day we were there, President Kufuor sent a team from Cocoa Board and Castle to come and study what we have done. When they came and we took them to the farm, the story was such an interesting story that they had no option but to do a report, which report recommended a replication of the Twifo Himan Lower Denchira experience. That is what came out to be cocoa high tech in Ghana. So the hope from there, what I learned was that there was a disconnect between research and what was happening on the field. Because here was Dr. Appiah's team who had a lot of research work, and yet that research was not getting to the ground. The moment there was that connection, we saw that phenomenal, and that experience was such that if we had taken advantage of it and built upon it, I don't think we would have come to this era now where cocoa farmers are giving their lands up to Galamsey. Because at the end of the day, I remember those days at SI Hotel. We came there and we sat down, we did a plan for Ghana producing over 1 million tons of cocoa. So if in 2010, Ghana was able to do 1 million tons of cocoa, it was as a result of a meeting that we held at SI Hotel 2008 that resulted, because there we look at all the issues, what must be done by government and what must be done by the farmers and what must be done by Cocoa Board. And when this thing was pioneered, no wonder in 2010 Ghana hit the mark, because at that time we realized that Ghana had 1.6 million hectares of cocoa land. So if we target that we get 1 ton per 1 hectare, it means we're going to get about 1.6 million tons. So at the rate of, say, 80% performance, we will get about 1 million. And how do you do it? If you can get every tree to give you 25 pods of cocoa, you are getting 1 kilo. And 1 hectare, you have 1,100 trees. So at least every hectare could safely give you 1 ton of cocoa. That is how we, arrive at getting 1-point-something million tons. In fact, we targeted 1.2 million tons. So when we hit 1 million, it means we're on course. You see, the opportunity lost is that we couldn't sustain the tempo. Now we are coming down. And as we are coming down, the interest of the farmers was also dwindling. So we are talking about the overdue transformation. I mean, we have not...
You're talking about deliberate things that you did to give Ghana, first in cocoa production.
Yes.
What we're seeing right now, we understand that you are behind this miracle, agricultural revolution in Nigeria.
Yes.
Where the Central Bank of Nigeria is sponsoring farmers.
Yes.
And this is just for the rice sector.
Yeah. How?
We need to change our economy.
Yeah.
How do we get to this?
Okay. This, we can easily get to it. And we have started. What happened in Nigeria, I'll give you the story. Because of what I did here in cocoa, Liberia President Sirleaf Johnson invited President Kufuor to let me go there and help them to resuscitate their cocoa. So what I did in Ghana here, we replicated in Liberia. It was there that I came to a realization that Africa needs to do something about rice. Because you go to Liberia, Samson, their staple food is rice. And yet they were importing everything. It was there that I did a concept paper, brought it to President Kufuor. That, Mr. President, now that you are out of office and you are coming out with a foundation to help, can we do this in agriculture? And he accepted it. Then he asked me to see one Professor Amano, Legon, Economics Department. Over there, he helped me to polish my concept paper. Then when we went to Washington, when President Kufuor was going to be given an award in a cocoa production, we met Michigan State University, Hunger and Poverty Foundation, and they also helped to upskill the concept paper. And then it became between Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and President Kufuor Foundation, where we were going to do rice. And the project was Competitive African Rice Initiative. In other words, if Africa has to do rice, we have to do it competitively in terms of quality and then the price, and then also availability, because you cannot compete with the Thailand's and the Vietnam's rice if you don't look at these three components of rice production. That's quality, the price, and then availability. And the project was in Ghana, Burkina, Nigeria, and Tanzania. I was in the head office, that is Nigeria. So when I was there, then I realized it was an opportunity for me as a leader to also do something to help Africa. And what I did was I toured the whole of Nigeria and then came back and said, no, this is an opportunity for Nigeria, because Nigeria has everything that it takes to do rice. Land is there, water is there, the sunshine is there. The same thing in Ghana here.
That's the question.
So what I did was...
Our economy is suffering because of issues including import substitution.
Yes. So what I did was I recognized that I needed to call the stakeholders, and I'll be talking about it, the value chain. So I recognized the banks, the farmers, the millers, input dealers, insurance, customs, immigration. I mean, people who have to do with import of rice and everything. Then we had a meeting. And in that meeting, I asked a question that we have this, we have this, we have that. That put together can make us produce enough rice. So what is the problem? And we realized it was the links between the stakeholders. For instance, the input dealers, instead of giving the right inputs to the farmers, were giving wrong inputs, counterfeit, fake. Instead of seeds, they will give them grain. Instead of fertilizer, the right components, they will give them fake one. Instead of pesticides, the correct pesticides, they give them fake ones. So at the end of the day, the farmer starts and it is all going down. They take a loan and they cannot pay. So bankers are also afraid to give them a loan. So at the end of the day, what we did was, let's get the links corrected. So between the input dealer, the bailer, and the farmers, we try doing a program which I dubbed reorganization and then reorientation. The reorganization was bringing the groups together, stakeholders. You are grouped together, become very vibrant. In other words, farmers in the communities, local government areas, to the state and to the federal level became very visible. And then bankers could locate them anytime that they wanted. The same thing to the input dealers as well as the mailers. When we have done that, and then the banks saw that these groups have become so visible and they were more or less holding themselves to be able to serve as collateral even to support themselves, then central bank said, okay, we are going to give you, commercial bank, a loan at 7%. You give it and lend it to them at 9%. They gave it to the mailers, which mailers will also give to the farmers as well as the input dealers so that they will produce. And at the end of the day, when the technical teams was also helping, that here I'm talking about extension services. We had a team that was working on the extension services, crop management, and we were able to move from 1.5 metric tons per hectare to about 5 and 6 metric tons. So in other words, any money that was pumped into the project was coming back. So the cycle kept on going and going. And then we realized the local production was shooting from 2 million to 3 to 5 and 6.
But the state also banned the importation
that
of
is
these
when we
foreign
got
rice.
to, yes, when we got to about 5, that was where the advocacy was working. That when we get to this point, try and stop importation of rice. That is why in 2016, 2017, thereabout, Nigeria stopped the importation.
So let's get to the conclusion. We've done quite a bit of time. But in Ghana, I'm not sure we are even producing 20% of the rice that we consume. Poultry, as we learned last week on this platform, we're producing like 1% of the poultry that we consume. This revolution can be replicated in our country.
It can.
So,
because the same resources that were available that I saw in Nigeria, that I talk about, is also available here in the country.
Are you working for our government? Are you ensuring that this is happening in our country as well? Like you said,
currently I'm working with the National Service Secretariat, where we are working. In the 24th, I was even at...
That's not what you did in Nigeria.
24th...
National Service Secretariat.
National... Oh, okay. You mean in Ghana, in Nigeria, it wasn't National Service.
Exactly.
It was national.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So what I have done, besides National Service Secretariat, I'm in touch with the rice farmers, the peasant farmers, Poultry Farmers Association, and the millers.
At your private consultancy
yes,
level?
Where we are trying to, because we need the private sector also to ginger themselves up. And as they are coming up, then they can be able to have a voice to engage government to be able to do the kind of thing that Nigeria government also did for them.
We did, farming for whatever it is, food for whatever it is.
Planting for food.
Planting for food and jobs. This is where we are looking forward to people like you to ensure a revolution, and not something that we will only talk about without much to show.
Oh yes, I agree with you. But currently, I would say that efforts are being made. Because recently, we're in Sopoli, where I was part of the commissioning of the economic enclave there. The minister assured us he's coming to Kumawu also to commission our own, together with the chief of staff. And we are really working, and I believe that.
And this will coalesce into a plan,
a plan,
national plan,
a national plan
that can bring us to what you have, led Nigeria to get.
Definitely. That is what I am looking up to, because now that we have finished the Eastern and then the Volta enclave, and we are coming to the Ashanti enclave. Once we start the Ashanti enclave, it will collate into a national plan where our target is getting Ghana out of rice importation.
We'll take your final statement in 1 minute.
Yeah, the final statement is that, one, we would have to look at agriculture as a business. It shouldn't be anything like a development item where we do politics like Mr. Roland said. And I would wish that we situate agriculture seriously in NDPC, where NDPC will have a plan for our agriculture. NDPC would give political parties that will come 4 years and 8 years what must be done. For instance, if we decide that we don't want to import rice, we don't want to import any other thing, it's NDPC who will be championing it through our political parties. If we're able to do that, then as a country, we'll be able to come out of a lot of importation, because it's sad, for instance, for us to import toothpick. It's sad for us to import poultry, because we have everything that we can do to do our own chicken.
Poultry, and we are importing 99% of that.
Yes. And here in Ghana, I've started some pilot projects somewhere where we are doing free range, not even cage, free range. And the performance is very, very, amazing.
Okay. Thank you very much. That is Abraham Juma Odoom, the man spearheading an agricultural revolution in Nigeria as far as rice production is concerned. And we hope and pray that the nation is tapping into his expertise to replicate that, to ensure an organic economic revival for Ghana, because that's where we must get to, so that we don't continue to go back to the IMF.